Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hey. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna devotees. Welcome all from a very auspicious event today in remembrance of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So we are all here to celebrate. In one sense, it's a celebration, and it's also a kind of condolence for us, for the normal people. And today we are observing the third day of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj disappearance. So we'll have the program will be like today. Like we'll have senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, starting from Mother Malati, and few other devotees will be joining to pay the homage for His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And then we'll have opened the floor for all the disciples and the other devotees of the congregation. So then we'll end up with the program with the Narshinga prayers, and that's the schedule for today. And I'm not seeing Mother Malati yet. So Mother Malati is joining now?
She hasn't yet joined Prabhu, but I think Navin Prabhu, let's take it over and then he can start the schedule.
Hare Krishna. So to set the mood, there was something we're going to read about Maharaj, his autobiography. But if Malati is here, Malati Mata is here, we can start. So I see Advacharya Prabhu also joined. So I don't know how long it takes. It takes at least 6-7 minutes to talk about his bio. I'm going to read from one of the document. So should we do that now, Chandra Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Or we can also show the video and then you can.
Yeah, let's start with the video.
Okay.
Heno Prabhu Kotagila Acharjataku Heno Prabhu Kotagila Ahamora Swarup Rupa Kahasanota Ahamora Swarup Rupa Kahasanota Kahadasa Raghunatha Patikrapava Juga Kaha Kavira Eka Kale Kota Gila Kuranata Ra Eka Kale Kota Gila Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful video about depicting the Maharaj's mood and then some of his old photographs with his god brothers, god sisters in different arms. So do you have the Malti joined yet? If not, I see Untitled Chapter joined. So I'll take a few minutes to read, set the mood about Maharaj. There is a little brief discussion. Please stay with me. I'm going to read. A brief look at Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, life of devotion. He was born in Bengal in 1945. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj spent most of his early life in the city of Calcutta. In 1970, he left, coming across Vedic literatures while in Germany. He discovered the richness of India's spiritual heritage. In 1975, he returned to India to wholeheartedly pursue spiritual life. After thoroughly studying the Vedic scriptures, Maharaj became aware of the need to find a spiritual master who could lead him on a sound spiritual course. After traveling to Himalayas and searching for 1 year without coming across a spiritual master to whom he could fully surrender, he felt despondent and disappointed. When he had almost given up hope, he came across a book called The Nectar of Devotion by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Becoming engrossed in the book, he realized that he had found his spiritual master and the path he had been searching for. As he continued to read Srila Prabhupada's books and works, his conviction grew stronger, as did his desire to meet Srila Prabhupada, who was then preaching in the United States. In late 1976, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj joined ISKCON temple in Mayapur, West Bengal, and became more involved in devotion service to Lord, all the while awaiting Srila Prabhupada's return to India. When Srila Prabhupada returned to India, the first direct meeting between Guru and aspiring disciple finally took place in January of 1977. During that meeting, Srila Prabhupada gave Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj the assignment of translating his books to Bengali and then made him his secretary for Indian affairs. Srila Prabhupada gave Maharaj first and second initiation simultaneously in Mayapur on Gaura Purnima 1977. 3 months later, Srila Prabhupada awarded him the renounced order of sannyas. All of this demonstrates a remarkable investment of authority and blessings from Srila Prabhupada to have occurred in such a short period of time. Maharaj traveled with personally served Srila Prabhupada for the final year of Srila Prabhupada's life. After Srila Prabhupada's departure from this world in 1977, Maharaj served in Mayapur for several years while the society was going through a critical phase. In 1987, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj became an initiating guru in ISKCON and joined the society's governing body commission, serving as its chairman in 1988 and again in 2017. In 1995, Maharaj had translated into Bengali all of Srila Prabhupada's works on major Vedic literatures, consisting of more than 50 volumes of books, including Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion, just as Srila Prabhupada had instructed him in their very first meeting. In 1996, Maharaj took on mammoth task of making a biographical video epic on the life of his spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, entitled Abhay Charan. This video series was broadcast on national television in India and distributed globally on DVD. In 2004, at the invitation of Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj built a magnificent new ISKCON temple in just 10 months in Ujjain, the holy city, also known as Avantika, and the place where Krishna and Balaram went to school. The extraordinary marble temple features 3 large altars of the worship of Sri Radha Madan Mohan, Sri Krishna Balaram, and Sri Gaur Nitai, a Goshala for cow protection, a midday meal facility for school children, a rural program to spread Vedic culture to village people, and the several outreach centers in Bhopal and Indore. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj also served as the ISKCON governor for France and South Africa at a time when these zones were facing immense difficulties. Through perseverance, he was able to turn the situations in these locations around. In 2007, Maharaj began an altar production facility in Ujjain. The facility manufactures beautiful deity altars of all shapes and sizes for temples and devotees globally. In 2013, Maharaj began development of new ISKCON temple in Panihati, a very holy place in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, where Raghava Pandit and his home and Lord Nityananda had his chipped rice Chiradahi festival. In 2014, Maharaj established Arogya Niketan, a traditional and authentic Ayurvedic clinic in Ujjain. He also joined Artha Forum and began delivering keynote speeches globally on spirituality to large audience of business leaders. Under his direction, the Ujjain ISKCON temple feeds more than 23,000 school children per day from its 6,000 square foot industrial kitchen. At one point, Maharaj also served as chairman of Annamrita Foundation, ISKCON's midday meal program, which feeds over 1 million children across India every day. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj has also served as the chairman of the GBC Executive Committee and was the GBC General Secretary for ISKCON in Mayapur, Kolkata, Ujjain, Bhubaneswar, Bangladesh, and Seattle. For decades, it traveled across India, US, UK, South Africa, the Middle East, and Australia, holding spiritual retreats and seminars, and fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's instruction to him to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Maharaj was also known for his beautifully melodic kirtans and his insightful classes on the Vedic scriptures. In 2016, Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj released his memoir, Ocean of Mercy, A Search Fulfilled, in which he recollects his intimate interactions with Srila Prabhupada. The book describes how he developed a genuine love and dedication for Srila Prabhupada, who gave him a life of Krishna Bhakti. On November 17th, 2016, the Institute of International Society Development, New York, an NGO in special consultative status with Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC of the United Nations, awarded an accolade to Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj as a display of their gratitude for all the support he gave them on behalf of ISKCON in spreading the message of spirituality for world peace and understanding between the nations and civilizations. In 2018, Bhakti Charu Swami served his last term as chairman of the GBC, reminding all senior leaders who served with him his caring mood and selfless devotion to Srila Prabhupada and the ISKCON Society. Last project, currently unfinished, the land, Florida, beautiful temple and form and ideas about creating spiritual Disneyland, introducing millions of people to Krishna consciousness. There's many to discuss. Because the time permit, we're going to end here. So let's give a big, our heart gratitude, loudly saying Hari Bol, Hare Krishna to Maharaj one more time before we start the program.
Haribo!
Haribo! Do we have Malati Prabhu?
So Prabhu, Malti Prabhu has not joined yet, but we can continue, and if she texts me, then I'll let you know. Prabhu.
So now let's move on to Yadvacharya Prabhu. You're there? Yadvacharya Prabhu, you are there, but I see you, but you are on mute, Prabhu. If you can unmute yourself.
Oh, yes. Okay. Can you hear me
to the
now?
program. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much. All goes to you. Please, next, you can take over from now. You can express your interactions with Maharaj and what you wanted to say about Maharaj. So the rest of the devotees, let's unmute ourselves. Like Prabhu can speak.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Panchakalpa Trubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha, Patita Nam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Actually, I'm hearing some of the most wonderful glorifications of Maharaj. And I just want to first say that this is a great loss to humanity. It is a great loss to ISKCON, and I can't even imagine how his disciples must feel. I know that all of the God brothers and God sisters on our Srila Prabhupada Facebook page have expressed their deepest sentiments and love for Maharaj, because he exemplified what we should all aspire for, to be and to do. Because it's an example of following the instructions of the spiritual master perfectly. That's why he was so exactly wonderful. And that's one of the reasons I only had a couple of interactions with him, but I could tell immediately from his character when he was able to smile. And you can tell devotees, when they see another devotee, they become happy. Because by seeing another devotee, that is actually one of the best experiences that we can have in life, period. And in the story of Lord Ramachandra, when Lord Ramachandra was getting ready to leave Gurukula, and Vashishtha's wife, she was very angry. She got upset with him because she says, how can you send away my Ram? How can you let the life of my soul, the soul of my life, leave? And he told her very simply, and this is a very profound statement, that we all come together to separate. We all come together to separate. We come together. Did it miss? Am I back on?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right, well,
Hare Krishna.
I'm sorry, Patty, what did you say? That's a shame. I figured that was going to happen. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, you're good. We can hear you, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
All right, you can still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
All right, fine. So we all come together to separate. We meet our family, we meet our wife, we meet our children, we'll meet our mother, we'll meet our father, we'll meet everyone, and eventually they all have to separate. But the most painful part is the part of separation from the spiritual master. There's nothing more painful. We, as Prabhupada's disciples, understand what that means. And there is no more painful situation than having the spiritual master leave, happen to leave us, because then you become completely vacant. And that saying is there is vacant in the whole world is actually true. When Prabhupada left, I literally cried like a baby. I never cried like that for anyone else. I never cried like that for my mother or my father or my brother, even though my brother was a devotee. It was still not the same, because now that the spiritual master is gone, what do we do? I know as a devotee in ISKCON, all of you are very fortunate, because we now have a good, sustainable society to be able to help to support us. And we understand by having your association with other devotees what you can do. When the Prabhupada left, we had to try to start to figure everything out. We didn't have a lot of older devotees to associate with, and that was very difficult. And now we have to ask ourselves, or at least the disciples of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami, we have to ask the question, now what do we do? And that is where the Guru, Sadhu, Sastra process begins, to become more fully appreciated. You have to now appreciate to have the Vani, or the sound vibration of the spiritual master. Because now there's only that connection physically is now no longer available. It was very difficult if you having now to see the spiritual master, and then not to be able to have the presence of the spiritual master. It is one of the most painful and most terrible experiences that you can imagine. However, that is part of what we have as devotees, to have to appreciate the fact that the spiritual master has left us the instruction. Even though we felt the separation of Srila Prabhupada, we also felt that now, what do we do? Now, we have to listen and read his books. We have to listen to his tapes and watch his videos. We have to go with the instruction, because Prabhupada very clearly said, I remember once I was his bodyguard in Los Angeles, and I just got finished reading the Bhagavad Gita. And then when I went out into the garden and heard him speaking, he said exactly the same sentence, verbatim, of what I had just read in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, at that point, I realized, now I see, now I understand. Srila Prabhupada is not different than his instruction. So all of the disciples of Bhakti Charu Swami now have to appreciate the fact that he is non-different than his instructions. when we get to this point, that begins to give us a better appreciation of what it means that Guru is one. In the beginning, actually, it was very difficult for us as disciples of Srila Prabhupada to accept others as being technically, quote unquote, the real Guru. Of course, we had to weed through those who were almost acting like Guru and those who actually are Guru. And part of that comes with longevity. It's very easy in the beginning for someone to shave up, to look like a Guru, to look like a spiritual master, to act like one to some degree. But time will tell, because they are constantly being tested by Maya to prove that what they say and what they do is actually what they are. Not that they are simply parrot. It's not like parroting. You're not repeating. You actually have to realize the words of the previous spiritual master. So Bhakti Charu Swami, from all of what I've seen and what I've heard of him, he is simply repeating and exemplifying the teachings of Srila Prabhupada so nicely and so perfectly that his disciples, as I can see, particularly from Nitai Chand Prabhu, whom I love very dearly, he is so kind. He made arrangements that he brought me prasadam because I'm in the process of moving. I wasn't able to get to the prasadam. He actually traveled all the way to come to just deliver the prasadam. And all he's doing in that sense is he's bringing me Krishna. So similarly, the spiritual master, he's done the same thing. Prabhupada traveled across the ocean. Bhakti Charu Swami, he traveled all around the world, simply to bring us the Krishna Prasadam, the mercy of Krishna. And therefore, we have to always appreciate the service that the spiritual master exemplifies and what he actually shows us through his example of how to serve Krishna. So to say to you, all of you, particularly Radhanath Swami disciples, as well as Bhakti Charu disciples, whom I all love very dearly, you are all to me examples that I aspire for, because I can see your sincerity and your devotion. I would like to always feel that in my life I've been blessed by having your association. By that association, I can remember Prabhupada. That's what everybody is doing. So everyone is giving this part of their life to be able to satisfy Krishna. And that is the purpose of the spiritual master, to teach us to do that. So again, I offer my most humble obeisances, my deepest loving condolences to all of you, and particularly to those who now at this point need our association even more. So those devotees who are able to give better training and better association to the other devotees, now is the time to actually care and show them how much you love them and how much you're willing to support them. So again, I offer all of you my obeisances. Thank you very much. I appreciate having your association. And I hope that someday I can aspire to even 1/10 of the love and the service that Bhakti Charu Swami has shown to the whole world. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much for sharing your insight. And then now I see Malati Prabhu is here. And if possible, devotees, if we can open up a video, it will be personal. If you see the face instead of impersonal, not showing the face, it will be very nice. It's a nice gesture also. It's a mode of respect. When you talk to somebody, see the face and show the face. Having said that, now we'll open for Malati Prabhu. Malati Prabhu, thank you very much. You are muted. If you can unmute yourself, we appreciate that.
Om Nagyantamrandasya Janana Sakalaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Can you hear all right? Are you hearing clearly or not?
We can clear you nicely, Malati Prabhu.
Okay, otherwise I can use this. Usually I use this for these calls, but I was just, I'm in New Vrindavan and we were having our memorial here simultaneously going on. So I would request, if you're not going to be sitting still, stop your video, because to have somebody moving around in your face while you're talking is really distracting. So if you are going to be moving around, please stop your video. Otherwise, just, sit quietly. So.
Okay, Malati Prabhu, now you can go ahead and you can address yourself, please.
Okay, so first of all, I don't know all of the disciples. I know Prema Sindhu and Leela Manjari and Nitai Chand. Are there other disciples there in Columbus?
There's only 3.
So to these great souls, Prema Sindhu, Leela Manjari, and Nitai Chand, I offer my heartfelt Vaishnav condolences at this time of great, deep separation and bewilderment. Speaking personally, Maharaj and I were just a few days apart in age. Means very shortly, he would have been, I'm going to be 75. And I'm simply left to wonder, why is it that I'm still breathing and Maharaj is gone? I have no ability to further expand Srila Prabhupada's movement, no ability to assist those who do have the ability, as Maharaj would do. I'm not capable of gently guiding thousands of seeking souls back to Godhead or closer to Prabhupada, as Maharaj would do and did. I'm just wondering, what am I doing here breathing? There is a few purports that I picked a couple things out of from Bhagavatam to address our bewilderment. Third canto. The Kala is identical with the Lord himself, Kala mean time. And therefore, influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. And Prabhupada's instruction is embedded. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Of course, beyond our control, and at the same time, beyond our control not to lament. But the lamentation of a Vaishnav is not like the lamentation of an ordinary person. Bhima wanted to impress upon Maharaj Yudhisthira that since time immemorial, no one, including such demigods as Shiva and Brahma, could ascertain the real plan of the world, of the Lord. So the instruction, so what can we understand about it? It's useless also to inquire about it. Even the exhausted philosophical inquiries of sages cannot ascertain the plan of the Lord. The instruction, the best policy is to simply abide by the orders of the Lord without argument. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, speaking to Ramananda Roy, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? Of course, right now, I know what's the most painful for you, having had that same occurrence in my life so many years previously. What is the most painful distress. Ramananda Roy replied, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know no unbearable happiness. So your distress and your lamentation are not that of an ordinary human whose life is centered on sense gratification or some kind of duty to family, nation, etc. The distress and lamentation from the separation of a devotee is most appropriate. Prabhupada said in one of the purports to Queen Kunti, I think it's 1841, 42, somewhere in that point, she's asking the Lord to cut her ties of family affection. And Prabhupada gave a little talk on that, aside from the purport. And he's saying that she's asking to be cut from the ties of false affection, mundane affection, material affection. But affection for the Lord and his devotees are not to be considered ordinary, mundane affection. And Prabhupada comments, we're not stones. We're not stones. When we talk, maybe our hearts are stones sometimes, that's a fact due to our conditioning. But the only way to soften those stone-like hearts is through the merciful association of the Lord's devotees. I want to also just comment slightly briefly on one point. And in this commenting, I will briefly mention a personal experience to back up what I'm saying. Because some devotees have expressed some concern or some doubt. What is to happen to a person who leaves their body while in a coma? Maharaj, he was in a medically induced coma. What will become of such a person? Please consider. Didn't Krishna promise? Doesn't Krishna promise his devotees, surrender unto me and I will protect you? Have no fear. He didn't give any other conditions. Just surrender unto me and I will protect you. Have no fear. He didn't say surrender unto me, but if you do this or you do that, or if you're in a coma, I'm out of here. Surrender unto me, have no fear, I will protect you. I was in a condition in 1989 when I was in a coma. And I had been taken by an ambulance, unknown to me, taken by an ambulance to a hospital in New York City. And the doctor said that I had less than 12 hours to live. Now, I am a fallen person, but I don't even want to explain how fallen I was at that time. But still, because efforts had been made in serving Krishna, Krishna came to the aid of such a foolish fallen person as myself when I was in that coma. And he came in the form of his holy name. And because of that, there was a shift that allowed me to actually begin to come out of that coma by hearing Krishna's name. So if he could come to such a fallen person as myself, that allows me to understand just how much he was there and is there with Bhakti True Maharaj, his most loyal and obedient service. Have no doubt, Krishna's with him and he's protecting him because Krishna gave his promise. And Maharaj is the most loyal and obedient servant. And his greatest gift to us was by his example and instructions, how we also should live our life in such a way that we're also loyal servants of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. So excuse me, but like what time do I have? I wasn't told.
Malki Prabhu, actually, we started with you for We started initially with the 15 minutes, but it's only Kamagiri Mata is not joining, so you have more time. So
Okay. You can just raise your finger. I mean, I'll try to move along, but Srila Bhakti Maharaj was a very strong and consistent voice for how we all need to respect and cooperate with each other. And at the same time, he was such a Vaishnava gentleman. I mean, anybody who talks to you is going to say almost the same things. He was a Vaishnava gentleman. But at the same time, he could roar like a lion when it came to protecting ISKCON, the system of governments that Prabhupada put in place, and along with exhibiting Srila Prabhupada's moods and teachings. And as a colleague on the GBC, I can say we would be so proud of him, reassured and inspired when we were able to see him in his combined gentlemanly mood and at the same time roar like a lion if he had to. And he always knew how to impeccably apply the right mood to the situation at hand. I never saw him lose his cool. And sometimes during those GBC meetings, you can be highly tested. I'll just tell a few little short, anecdotes, a few random memories, but those memories are not, they show his quality, his character. As you must be knowing, he received first and second initiation at the same time from Srila Prabhupada. And he was one of the last disciples. He met Prabhupada for the first time in January of 77. And Prabhupada left in November of 77. So he got first and second. And then a short time later, Prabhupada announced that he would put him up he would give him sannyas initiation. Somebody else too, I can't remember, but sannyas. So some of the senior godbrothers are feeling some concern, understandably, because even at that time, we'd already seen a few sannyasis trip and stumble. And here was basically a new man on the block. So Prabhupada could understand the devotees' concern. So he reassured them, don't worry. If he falls down, it will be to the mode of goodness. While he was in Prabhupada's service, he would lament kind of almost with wonder how he, being most junior and inexperienced of devotees, could be given this most intimate service to his beloved spiritual master. And so he mentioned this, how is this? And Prabhupada replied to him that when the Lord descends, he brings his intimate associates. And similarly, when the spiritual master comes, he also brings with him his associates. Then he asked Maharaj, do you know what happens when they come? Maharaj, no. They become his secretary. Maharaj was serving Prabhupada at the time. In spite of all of his very refined qualities, it is said that etiquette is a jewel on the crown of the Vaishnav, something like that, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one of the most outstanding qualities, among others, was the etiquette, the Vaishnava etiquette, the subtle Vaishnava etiquettes that Maharaj adhered to and taught his students, his disciples. I was discussing this with a young devotee yesterday, and she was saying, but well, where can I learn this etiquette? I said, well, yeah, there's some Vaishnava etiquette books. In fact, Maharaj himself made a Vaishnav etiquette course for the GBC college. But the really refined, subtle etiquettes, you won't really see them written down, or if you do, you really won't get them until you actually practice and it becomes part of your life. You know, it's just like trying to tell somebody what halva tastes like. Until you actually taste it, then you get it. But Maharaj was such a refined person, and the most subtlest points, he lived his life according to how a Vaishnav should live. And these rules of etiquette don't confine you. They don't restrict you. They actually free you from unnecessary reactions and unnecessary responsibilities. And Srila Prabhupada, he actually introduced much of that to us. But being the gross people that we were, in some cases still are, it didn't always penetrate, you know, and even to this day, many, you know, I see in being in the management realm and having to deal with so many people, how it's very easy for persons to put aside the orders of the guru, the spiritual master, as well, too much inconvenience, or okay, but Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj never brushed aside any of Prabhupada's instructions, no matter how small they may appear. Every instruction Prabhupada gave him was dear to him and became a part of his life. And from what I can tell, he made it his business also to see that his disciples were similarly instructed, if not by him personally, by each other. Because he expected the senior disciples, just like Srila Prabhupada would expect the senior disciples, even if in those days they were senior by a few minutes, he expected those who were senior to instruct those who had just come and pull them up. Bhakti Charu Maharaj embodied the loyalty to Srila Prabhupada. He embodied this loyalty just as Srila Prabhupada embodied loyalty to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this loyalty to Srila Prabhupada, just like Srila Prabhupada's loyalty to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada, it's the strength, it's the backbone of ISKCON. It was a strength that should have been the strength that was the backbone of Gaudiya Math, but then they started diverging. But this loyalty to Srila Prabhupada is a strength that will, and the backbone of ISKCON, that will ensure that ISKCON continues for the next 10,000 years. You know, we hear that a lot, right? Prabhupada's books are the law books for the 10,000 years. And maybe it just goes through like some words through our head. But there's no idle talk in spiritual life. If there was any fault with Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, it might be that he was a little too pure sometimes. I mean that genuinely. He saw everybody as servants of Krishna. And if somebody had stumbled or fallen, he just tried to find ways to bring them up, get them back again. He never condemned them, at least that I ever heard. And I was around him when we had to have, due to our GBC roles, some pretty tough discussions about persons. He just saw the best in everyone. He saw their potential, and he never let someone's shortcomings interfere with an opportunity for engaging them in service. The real tattva darsana. And often these same souls who were getting the mega mercy from Maharaj, they would squander that mercy, even to the point of detriment. It was detrimental to Maharaj. He was such a gentleman. And he knew how to stand up and lead the charge when the time would come. And I remember May 19th was in Brooklyn, New York, 2017. And he was a GBC chairperson. Now, earlier on, when he'd been a GBC member, earlier on, maybe like late 80s, could have been early 90s. I wasn't there at that time on the GBC, but he got the role. He got voted in to be the chair. Well, you start out being third vice chair, second vice chair, first vice chair, and then you become the chairman. So, you know, he went through the ranks. Now he was going to be the chairperson. And I'm not saying anything that's a secret here. The GBC could be really wild in those days. I mean, now I think we're a little too old to be wild, many of us, but I mean, there was a lot of lacking in the way people were relating to each other on the whole. And I've been told some pretty wild stories, actually. So the devotees were really concerned, how is he going to chair the meeting? How is he going to take control and get these, I call them the LVs, the louder voices. I'm sure you all know somebody who has a louder voice and they just kind of shut everybody down by using that LV, louder voice. So when you have like a few of them, it can be very intense. So the Godbrothers decided, GBC Godbrothers decided that somebody else should, he would be the chairman, but somebody else would actually sit there and control the meeting. So they chose Ravinda Sarup, and it worked out fine. But it was a good complementary balance. So now here it was, and second time around 2017, he was going to be the chair. And I also remember thinking, how is he going to do this? Meetings had, for the most part, dissipated, but we still had a few LVs, louder voices, and people could get pretty hot. So I was wondering, and we had some contentious issues to discuss. So I was wondering, how is he going to manage this? But then we saw what a true leader was in Bhakti True Maharaj, because he stood up and rose to the occasion. And in May of 2016, we had this meeting in New York City where the entire EC, that's the executive committee of the entire GBC, came to New York. Sesha was there, Pragosh was there, and Bhakti True Maharaj as the chairperson were there. And in effect, we took back the temple. But it was Bhakti Charu who stood up and led that charge. It was Bhakti Charu who entered fearlessly into the temple on a Sunday feast and handed the papers to the person who was not answering his phone, wouldn't answer his door, wouldn't reply to the emails, forcing this confrontation to happen. The papers were a GBC proclamation saying, I'm sorry, but we're taking the temple back. It's not going the way things should be. And for me, watching this play out, I personally drove all the way to New York from Columbus just to attend that meeting. I went up there, attended the meeting, was in the Brooklyn Library, spent the night, and drove right back the next morning. It was one of, I could say, the finest moments in my Krishna conscious experience to see the leadership qualities of Bhakti True Maharaj and Sesha and Pragosh, but especially Bhakti True Maharaj, who remained a gentleman. He never raised his voice, but he spoke loudly and clearly and compassionately. A true leader, a dynamic leader. Actually, I will just tell this for a little humor, but he was cooking for Prabhupada in Calcutta. And he made a particular type of cake for Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada ate that cake. So he made it again the next day, and Prabhupada ate that cake. So except on Ekadashi, he was making that cake. And would you like to know what kind of cake that was? It was a chocolate cake. And he said that, well, he ate it. Means he must have liked it. And I was making it every day and he was eating it. I don't know what the year was, but you know. I don't know if I mentioned this because I just had to speak at the New Vrindavan thing, so I'm kind of blurred together. One thing that is very significant for myself as a first generation devotee, watching the second, third, and fourth generation devotees coming up, is how Srila Bhakti True Maharaj would elicit his new disciples during their initiation, when they were taking their vows. He would say, and never leave ISKCON. He would say, even if I fall down and leave, you stay. Never leave ISKCON. And he made them accept that as part of their initiation vows. And hopefully all of you will remember this now that he's left the planet. He hasn't left ISKCON and he hasn't left you. And you may hit some turbulent times, but just remember that. Another point I will make is that, I'll bring up, it's also from personal experience, but I think every Prabhupada disciple can tell you this particular experience. The initial vacancy of the departure of the spiritual master is inexplicable. You can use the vocabulary to try to express it, but it's really inexpressible. You know, they say on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of pain? Well, this just is like beyond 10. There's no way it can be expressed. Departure of the spiritual master. And while you're thinking he left, at the same time, the spiritual master, he never leaves the disciple. Only the disciple will leave the spiritual master. But the spiritual master will still be there, waiting for the naughty son or daughter to return. So in this case, his leaving was not a leaving like I'm out of here, I'm leaving ISKCON. It's just he's stepping into another realm of service. And on that level, considering that situation in that hospital and all the tubes and ventilations and the heart attacks and the weakened kidneys and that he is now with Srila Prabhupada again, dancing with Srila Prabhupada, chanting with Srila Prabhupada. Maybe he's even baking a chocolate cake for Srila Prabhupada. It's a relief, actually, but that doesn't make the vacancy null and void. But if you take what he's left you, his vital instructions, which are none different from the instructions given by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, as these painful days pass on to weeks, to months, to years, you keep those instructions front and center, and you'll find yourself growing closer and closer to Maharaj, closer than when he was right here in front of you. I personally feel like my real relationship with Srila Prabhupada actually began after his departure. During the time I was with him in his manifest presence, I was there, I was doing so many things, but I was actually quite clueless on many levels about the role of the guru, the role of the disciple. I mean, I knew what it said, but there wasn't any actual deeper realization that came along with the function of service. And since his departure, particularly at a certain point when he spoke to me in an audible way that I could actually hear and made it clear to me what I should do. And from that moment, it was like the beginning of a new relationship and closer relationship that is manifested in my daily life. And I have no doubt this will also happen to all of you, his disciples, that as time goes, you will feel yourself closer to Maharaj, closer than ever before. And a deeper love and affection will develop based upon your willingness and your happiness to follow his instructions and assist him in his mission of serving Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. So some people, they'll say he was a Vaikuntha man. Myself and others saw him as the embodiment of a true Prabhupada man. But actually both are true. He was both. He remains both. And I'll just end by reminding you that the spiritual master is not an ordinary person. So you've had the good fortune of many years of association and presence, whether directly or indirectly. But the indirect becomes direct as the time goes on and you adhere to the principles and the instructions that he has passed on to you. And you'll find yourself closer than ever before. His Holiness Bhakti True Maharaj Ki Jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me say something.
Thank you, Malati Prabhu. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And now devotees is 8 o'clock. Then now
Prabhu, sorry to interrupt. I think Nitya Prabhu is ready and is okay.
He wants to go first? Okay. So
yes,
Nitya Prabhu, he doesn't want to speak, but he wants to sing for Maharaj. And after that, followed by Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Lilamani Mata. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So I'm speaking on behalf of His Grace Nitai Chand Prabhu tonight. So Nitai Chand Prabhu would like to sing a bhajan for His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So a little context, Bhakti, the first song that Nitai Chand heard in ISKCON was this bhajan. And this bhajan was sung by Bhakti. He heard this in 2002 in Shantipur, his hometown. So he'll be singing today, and then we hope to assist him. So yeah, Hare Krishna. Oh yeah. So first I'll read. He also requested me to read the translation. So if you guys want to look on KK songs, it's called Gaura Guna Gao Shuni by Vasudev Ghosh. If somebody wants to put it on the text box. Again, Gaura Guna Gao Shuni by Vasudev Ghosh. So the translation
is already in the chat.
Okay, so for the translation number 1, I hear and sing of Lord Gaura's glories. After many pious deeds, a soul may meet Lord Gaura, who is a parasmani jewel of spiritual love. In an eye blink, he dries up the sufferings of all fallen souls. How can a person who has not even a small fragment of love for him bring cooling happiness to his own life? The glances from his reddish eyes are all oceans of mercy. Syllable by syllable, his sweet words are flooding monsoon showers of nectar. He sheds tears of ecstatic spiritual love. From head to foot, the hairs of his body stand erect in bliss. Vasudev Ghosh says, he is like a golden Mount Meru, where hundreds of flooding rivers flow. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sit right here.
বহু পুণ্য ফলে লালন প্রেম পরশ মনি। বহু পুণ্য ফলে লালন প্রেম পরশ মনি। গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি, গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি। অখিল জীবে এসো সাগর নয়ন নিমেষে শশে। অখিল জীবে এসো সাগর নয়ন নিমেষে শশে। ওই প্রেমলে স্পর্শ না পাইলে পরাণ জুড়াবে কিসে। ওই প্রেমলে স্পর্শ না পাইলে পরাণ জুড়াবে কিসে। গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি, গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি। অরুণ নয়নে বরুণ করুণায়নিরিখানে। অরুণ নয়নে বরুণ করুণায়নিরিখানে। মধুর আলাপে আখরে সুধাধারা বরিশালে। মধুর আলাপে আখরে সুধাধারা বরিশালে। গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি, গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি। প্রেমে ঢালো ঢালো পুলকে পুরালো আপাদ মস্তক তনু। প্রেমে ঢালো ঢালো পুলকে পুরালো আপাদ মস্তক তনু। বাসুদেব কহে শতধারা বহে সুমেরু সঞ্চিতা জনু। বাসুদেব কহে শতধারা বহে সুমেরু সঞ্চিতা জনু। গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি, গোরা গুণ গাও শুনি। জয় ভক্তি চারু স্বামী গুরুদেবা। জয় ভক্তি চারু স্বামী গুরুদেবা। ভক্তি চারু স্বামী গুরুদেবা। জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ।
Thank you very much, Nitya Prabhu. Thank you very much. So now we will hand over to the Prem Sindhu Mata Prabhu and then Leela Manjari Mataji. And after that, it will be open to everybody who wants to say something. It's a time for showing your gratitude. Prem Sundar Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So I was very shocked and surprised and by the sudden departure of my spiritual master, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. It happened all of a sudden. I didn't expect it, and none of the devotees expected it to happen so suddenly. I met Maharaj, I knew about Maharaj first time when I was living in the Bangalore temple, ISKCON Bangalore temple in 95, 96. There was a disciple of Maharaj who was also living with me, and we used to worship during Guru Puja. We used to worship Jai Pataka Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So that's the time when I first knew about him.
Prem Sundar Prabhu, sorry to interrupt you. If you can little close to mic and speak a little louder, please. Thank you.
But I actually came to know Maharaj personally when I was in Tobacco Temple in 1997 during a Sunday feast class. He was showing the Abhay Charan series. He and his whole crew, and there were so many devotees in that Abhay Charan, and they had all come to New Jersey to shoot for Prabhupada's arrival in America. And during a Sunday feast class, he showed the Abhay Charan series. And I was already I came to Krishna consciousness because of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. I was looking, and when I read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, I was very much convinced that Prabhupada is saying the truth, and his lectures, which I used to get in form of cassette. So I used to hear Prabhupada. And then when I saw that Bhakti Charu Maharaj is glorifying Srila Prabhupada, and this serial is being broadcast on Doordarshan, where millions of viewers are going to see the glorification and the life of Srila Prabhupada, I was very much impressed by that. So then after the class, I asked a few questions to Maharaj, and I gave a little donation. And Maharaj was so kind to me. And from the very first meeting, I felt like I could relate to him on a very personal level. And I could tell anything from in my heart. I could ask him anything. He was very friendly to me. And then the relationship developed over many years. But then I decided to take initiation from him. And so that's how my relationship with Bhakti Charu Maharaj began. He was very personal, and he always would respond. Even if I would write him some email, he would respond back. I could call him on the phone. He gave me a phone number. He said, if you have any difficulty, any problems, you can call me, you can write to me. So in that way, I found Maharaj very approachable. And finally, I took initiation from him. So I wrote down some few things. Yeah. He was very down to earth and very easy to talk to. So after I left Bangalore, then I had many interactions with him. So I would always consult him for many things. And there are some of the things I'm going to describe are a little funny. So one day I asked him, Maharaj, I have this set of initiation beads, but I have a tendency to lose things. Can you chant on another set of beads also? So in case I lose these beads, then I will have another set. He said, yes, I can chant, but then you have to chant 16 rounds on these beads, the initiation beads, and the 16 rounds on the other extra beads. So every day you have to chant 32 rounds. So I gave up the idea because I was not that inspired to chant 32 rounds every day. So that was one incident I remember I had with him. Another time I was in Florida and I was asking him, what should I do, Maharaj? Should I, I'm renting, everybody's saying I should buy a house or I should buy something of my own. So I asked him, and you can't hear? Is it very not audible?
Speak loud.
Little louder will be preferable, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. So, so I asked him, Maharaj, what should I do? He said, I am not your realtor, and this is not a question you should ask me. So then I understood what kind of questions I should ask him. He said, if you want to know about the economy and whether it's right time to, then you should consult the somebody who is very conversant with financial market and things like that. So from that time on, I never used to ask questions related to something pertaining to something other than spiritual life. One of his characteristic was that he had a non-envious nature, and I saw that he would always respect his god brothers and his god sisters. When he came to my home, our home in Jacksonville, we were living in Jacksonville, Florida, and it was Diwali day. I think it was 2007 or 8, 2007. And all his god brothers came, and I saw how affectionately and how lovingly he treated all his god brothers. Kalakanda Prabhu was there, then Dhira Prabhu was there, Lakshmi Narsingha Prabhu was there, and he was very, very respectful and very affectionate and very friendly, and that he always maintained that kind of relationship with his god brothers. So I was very impressed with that. But I took his association for granted, and I thought maybe I could have had, now I feel I could have had more association, but I missed out on a lot of opportunities where I could have really tried hard and I could have got more association. So I feel bad in that aspect. Another quality of Maharaj was that he would apologize. If he thought that he did something wrong, or if the other person was offended, he would apologize. So what happened one time, I was involved in some service to him, and other devotees were also involved. It was a business venture, and he wanted to generate some funds through this business venture for propagating Krishna consciousness, which didn't go the way he intended it to go. And I was a little stressed out, and I was in anxiety. But one day he called me, and he said, I'm very sorry, I put you through this, like the anxiety. And I was thinking, I'm an insignificant disciple, and he is, telling me like this. So this quality of his was very endearing to me, and I'm sure to be many others. Then, so one time he came to Columbus also. He stayed at Ramtirtha Prabhu's home. And after that, he stayed for 3 or 4 days. And then we went to Gita Nagari. So in Gita Nagari, Maharaj was staying in Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's quarters. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's quarters. And I was serving him there. So I asked him, Maharaj, do you have any personal instruction for me? So he told me, you should never think that you have done enough in devotional life. He said, you should never think you have done enough, because he probably knew my little lax nature, complacent nature. So he told me that, and that's what I have always been cherishing, and I'm trying to do a little bit more than what I actually, am able to. And then he told me, don't try to be a great devotee. Try to be a good devotee. So these are some of the things that I remember from one. And one time he chastised me for something, and I told Maharaj, I am a neophyte. He said, don't remain a neophyte then. I was thinking I'm like being very humble. He says, don't remain a neophyte. Depend on Krishna, like that. So some of the other memories. Then I was bringing Maharaj from Cleveland, where he had attended a function for Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I think it was, what was it? It was his some ceremony that was there for Bhakti. So I was coming back, and he was supposed to give a class in Columbus, Sunday feast. And, it was getting late. There were so many people who were there with Maharaj, and, so many people wanted to talk to him. So by the time we started, it was late. And Cleveland is about 2 hours from Columbus. So I was driving, and I wanted to reach in time for the feast. and I was driving in the construction zone. I didn't realize it was construction zone. My mind was fixed on reaching Columbus at a certain time. So a cop comes behind and he puts on his lights, and then I have to stop. So Maharaj is sitting beside me and a cop has pulled me over and I get a ticket. I get a traffic ticket. I thought maybe because of Maharaj's presence, I wouldn't probably get a ticket, but somehow the cop gave me a ticket. And then when I came, so it was a memorable, it hardly happens to anybody, but when I came back to Columbus, then of course, Malti Prabhu was there. She said, I don't know if she remembers, but she said, everybody should chip in something little bit to help Prem Sindhu pay his ticket. So his traffic ticket, because he was coming to get Maharaj to Columbus in time. So that was something I remember. Then another thing, I was hearing Hridayananda Maharaj speak today on Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So he was mentioning how Bhakti Charu Maharaj is always very inclusive. And even though, Hridayananda Maharaj is Krishna West, and little bit, he was kind of little separated from ISKCON, and there was a very, some raging debate going on. And when Maharaj was the chairman, the executive committee chairman of the GBC, then at that time, Hridayananda Maharaj said, he approached me and he wanted to bring me back into the fold of ISKCON. And he said, why don't you come back to the GBC? And you might see that video. I just saw it today on Facebook. So he was saying that Bhakti Charu Maharaj was so cultured and so refined, and they used to joke. Somebody got in. So Hridayananda Maharaj, he used to tell Bhakti Charu Maharaj, you are BC, Bhakti Charu. BC means before Christ, like you're very old. And Maharaj used to call him, you are AD. They call him Acharya Dev. So you're AD. AD means, like the modern, you are the modern. So they had a very, and he said, we used to joke like that, and we had a very loving relationship. And so, but that was his quality. He brought many disciples of Srila Prabhupada who left for various reasons, and he was very welcoming them back to ISKCON. So this was one quality that was very, very nice and very endearing. I would like to also talk about little association of Bhakti Charu Maharaj with Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada told him one time while he was taking a massage, and this Maharaj repeated so many times. Maharaj was taking, Bhakti Charu Maharaj was there when Srila Prabhupada was given a massage. He was taking a massage by Hari Sauri Prabhu. And suddenly Srila Prabhupada started speaking to him. And he said, you have been in this material world for so long, and you have spent many lifetimes. And I see that you are still not satisfied. So why don't you give this one life to Krishna and see what happens? Even if nothing happens, it is only one life out of many. So what is the loss? Just give one lifetime to Krishna. And Maharaj was thinking that Prabhupada is kind of, telling him to fully surrender. And there was some indication that Srila Prabhupada wanted him to take to the renounced order of life. He was a brahmachari at that time. So he said, this instruction to me was very, very profound, and it went into my heart very deep. And from that point, then as we heard, he was given the first, second initiation and the third initiation, which is the sannyas initiation, in just a few months. And there was objection, but Prabhupada went ahead and gave. The other two sannyasis I was hearing that was Bhakti Prem Maharaj and Bhakti Caitanya Maharaj and Bhakti Charu Maharaj. These were the sannyasis who got initiation at the same, sannyas initiation at the same time. So then one time he was very close with Tamal Krishna Maharaj also, because both of them used to serve Srila Prabhupada together in the last days. So one time Tamal Krishna Maharaj got very angry with Bhakti Charu Maharaj, who was a brahmachari at that time. And he said, I curse you that you get married. So of course, marriage is not a bad thing or anything like that. But he said, I curse you that you get married. So Maharaj got a little disturbed and he went to Prabhupada and he told Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj is saying like this. Oh, what should Prabhupada said, that's all right. You can tell him you're already married to Krishna. So no problem. So that was little something that I remembered from his interaction with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Another time, he found Tamal Krishna Maharaj sleeping during the day. Actually, first what happened, Bhakti Charu Maharaj was sleeping during the day. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj woke him up and he said, Brahmacharis are not supposed to sleep during the day. Then after a few days, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was sleeping and Bhakti Charu Maharaj woke him up and said, oh, sannyasis are not supposed to sleep during the day. So he kind of gave it back to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. But they had a very close relationship. So I was remembering that. He was always willing to help, both spiritually and even materially. If somebody had any difficulty, he would say, yes, you can, if you want some whatever help in any way I can render. So he told me that many times. So that's something I remember. One time, one god brother chastised him and he became very angry with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So he went to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, that's all right, he's become angry, but you should remain tolerant. And he said the sign of spiritual advancement is how humble and tolerant one has become. This is the sign of spiritual advance. So he was also saying that in his memory. And his main contributions were to Prabhupada was that he translated all the books into Bengali. The first time he met Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada gave him the order that you translate all my books into Bengali. And just as Prabhupada, I was hearing Radhanath Swami speak about Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And he was saying they both were living in the same room in Mayapur. And at night, midnight, Bhakti Charu Maharaj would get up and then he would be translating the books. And Radhanath Maharaj was observing that. So he was very dedicated, just like following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, who would get up in the middle of the night and work on his translation work. Also, he produced this Abhay Charan. We see it, but we don't know what it takes to produce a serial like that. Because I was in New Jersey when the whole crew of Abhay Charan came. And there were so many devotees and so many things going on. And Maharaj was a perfectionist. So he wanted everything. He would not just settle for anything mediocre. So whatever he put his hand in, he wanted it to be like first class. So I don't know how many times they would shoot a scene and then again they would shoot it back because it was not perfect, something was not right. So he had a very refined taste and high quality in serving Krishna. And he built the Ujjain temple in a span of 9 months. There was 9 or 10 months, there was nothing. And Maharaj built a temple on the land which was donated by the Madhya Pradesh government. So when I look back, I see that he was really empowered to do so many things. And he always emphasized Srila Prabhupada's position as the founder Acharya. So he said, we are all in Prabhupada's family, and his hospitality. I wanted to read something from when they're at the GBC meeting, some of the devotees commented on the hospitality they received in Ujjain. So Anuttama Prabhu says, I pray I will remember the quality and selflessness of their care. Means in Ujjain, what it is. It is a standard that I can hope to emulate. If we cared for others, starting with me, he says, the way devotees do in Ujjain, people worldwide would be flooding our temples, begging to understand the secret of our formula for such love. All glories to the devotees of ISKCON Ujjain. So he was very hospitable. He would always ask. One time I went to Mayapur in 2002 and I was in the Mangala Arati. And Maharaj was there and he noticed me. And the first thing he asked, do you have a place to stay? Because it was Gaur Purnima time. And are you comfortably situated? Do you have any place to stay? So he was always very, concerned about, and now he is in the preaching mood. He came to DeLand, Florida. And so on this occasion also, I beg for all the forgiveness for all the offenses I did. Not a very good disciple, but I'm trying to improve. And so these are some of my remembrances from my encounters. I have many more, but I cannot. I want to hear from others. And so I'll pass it on to my wife, Leela Manjit.
Thank you, Leela Manjit Matas. Please go ahead, and followed by Ramtit Prabhu and Sita Sundari Matas.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I didn't really know if I would be in a position to be able to speak today, but I begged Maharaj, and somehow I'm here trying to speak something. So I'll start with his pranam mantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. I offer my humble obeisances unto His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter of his lotus feet. Snigdha Cheta Supraneta Vagminam Cha Rasaplutam Prabhupada Gata Prana Naumi Bhakti Charu Padam. The translation is, I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami, who is very soft-hearted and expert at compiling devotional literature. He eloquently speaks the pastimes of Lord Krishna. His heart is full of the mellows of devotional service, and his life and soul is Srila Prabhupada. So, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what can I speak of such an exalted personality as His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami? He was glorious in every way. His life, his services, preaching, his dealings with others, as Prem Sindhu Prabhu was quoting so many things, his instructions, his kindness, his compassion, his affection, his complete dedication to Srila Prabhupada and to ISKCON. I am a complete non-entity, and how can I even try to speak about such a personality? The last few days obviously have been the most difficult, definitely the most difficult of my entire life. And, but I'm making this humble effort to speak something just to purify myself and to glorify Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Now, as far as his services, Naveen Krishna Prabhu talked quite a bit, and Prem Sindhu Prabhu also touched on many things. One thing that I would talk about, and I know Ramtita Prabhu can share a lot about that, is how he loved to, he was a great cook. He learned so many things from Srila Prabhupada, and he cooked for Srila Prabhupada. But amazingly, he liked to cook for all the devotees. And he did that. We saw that firsthand in Columbus. I mean, I was amazed. I mean, this is a person who, I mean, everybody stands in line to reach out to him, and there he was cooking breakfast for us. And he always made sure he used to come and ask how we were doing. Is the prasadam satisfying? And even in early 2000s, I don't remember the exact year, in North Carolina, he made pizzas for all of us. So that was really amazing. I mean, I can't even describe the taste. It was just out of the world. But that was him. He was serving all of us. So his classes, they are very erudite, very scholarly. The video Abhay Charan, you have already heard from Prem Sindhu, so I won't go into all that. He also had many innovative ideas of preaching Krishna consciousness, like cruises, Krishna conscious cruises. And I heard from Radhanath Maharaj that Radhanath Maharaj was thinking, well, okay, just to please Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he said, okay, I'll come on the cruise, but he never thought that that would happen. But that actually happened, and Maharaj went on the cruise. And so those were some of the things. And then this Dealand project that Maharaj had started, it was to inspire millions of Americans to take up Krishna consciousness. And it's a very ambitious project, and I'm sure it will get completed by Maharaj's blessings and blessings of Srila Prabhupada. So personally, I have quite a few memories. I was trying to write them down. I had no idea that I actually had so many memories. I was in school in Mayapur. When I went to Mayapur, very young, I was a teenager. And with my parents, I went to Mayapur because everybody in Bengal visits Mayapur sometime in their lives. And all of a sudden, there was this whole commotion in the temple room. And then we saw that a sannyasi had come, and they were welcoming and giving him Radha Madhav's Maha garlands. And then I got to know that that was His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. So that was my first meeting. I mean, I didn't personally meet him, but that was my first glimpse of him. Of course, then I got introduced personally to him because of Prem Sindhu Prabhu. And I had many wonderful memories. And one thing I remember was during our initiation in 2003, just the day before our initiation was actually my birthday. And but simultaneously, it was also another devotee's birthday. And so there was a cake for her, and everybody was singing for her. And then Maharaj gave her a piece. And then somebody in the audience said, it's also Leela. My name was Indrani at that time. It was also Indrani's birthday. So then Maharaj looked at me with so much affection, and he personally gave me a piece of cake to me. That's definitely the best birthday I ever had. And I can't even imagine that somebody like me could get so much mercy from Maharaj. And then, you know, Maharaj is very strict about shaving of head for men. So he told Prem Sindhu, you shave up for the initiation. And I could see he was a little reluctant, hesitant. And so then Maharaj looks at me and he says, do you have a problem if he shaves up? And I said, no, Maharaj. Then he looked at Prem Sindhu and he said, you shouldn't have any problem then. So it was really funny. And he, of course, shaved up. It was a really, really nice experience. Then next day was our initiation. And Maharaj gave a wonderful, wonderful class. But one sentence which really struck me, which I have remembered and which really brings forth his character and personality. This is what he said, that, you know, I really don't know Krishna. Krishna is pretty high up there. So I don't know about taking you to Krishna. But I do know my beloved spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And I can guarantee you that I can take you to him. And then he will take you back to Godhead. So that was his humility, his wonderful quality, which I will never forget. So that was really wonderful. And then most of you know about my background as a doctor. So one time, many years back, we went to one of Maharaj's retreat, and Maharaj was getting an injection that day. And all of a sudden he said, Leela Manjari, I don't have anybody to give me the injection. Can you give me? And I was taken aback, you know. But then I thought, this is the most difficult service anybody has ever asked me. But Prem Sindhu was my assistant, and I managed to give the injection to Maharaj. And after that, Prem Sindhu asked him in his own way, as you all know Prem Sindhu, Maharaj, did it hurt you? And then Maharaj looks at us and Maharaj says, it's okay, it's all right. He didn't want to hurt me. So that was his quality. It was just amazing, very nice. Before I joined residency, we also talked to Maharaj about my choice of going into psychiatry, and he was very encouraging about it. He liked it. He said, yes, that's really good field to go to. So we were also honored to have Maharaj come to our home in Florida, as Prem Sindhu was saying, in 2007. We were just watching some glimpses from that video, and it's in that old-fashioned tape. So with Alec Prabhu's help, I think we may be able to put it in one of the digital formats now. Very, very wonderful memories of Maharaj from that program.
He stayed with us.
Yeah, he stayed with us. He stayed with us at our home for one night. And I remember I got up at 2:30 and I went outside, and somehow I couldn't sleep. I was just too excited. And 2:30, Maharaj was up and he was chanting, and I was sitting outside his door and listening to him chanting. So really, I mean, this is Maharaj's habit. He used to always get up at 2:30 a.m. To chant his rounds. So that was really wonderful. The next thing, I'm going to skip the things that Prem Sindhu already talked about. So this was during the stay in Columbus. I know Prem Sindhu was a little embarrassed to talk about it, but the reason why I'm going to talk about it is because it brings out the qualities of Maharaj. That we were all having breakfast, and Maharaj, as usual. Sorry, I think somebody got unmuted. So then Maharaj asked us, are you all, enjoying the breakfast? Is it all okay? And then all of a sudden he looks around and he says, where is Prem Sindhu? And then we said, well, Prem Sindhu is chanting because he usually doesn't like to take prasadam unless he's chanted all of his rounds or most of his rounds. And then immediately Maharaj looks at me and he says, do you do that too? So I said, no, Maharaj, I'm not able to keep up to that standard. So then without telling any of us, we didn't know what happened. Maharaj got up from there and he walked. And later on, we heard Prem Sindhu told us that he walked to the room where Prem Sindhu was sitting chanting, and he rubbed his head like an affectionate father would. He was so happy. He was so happy with that. And he just patted his head and came back. Prem Sindhu also got a lot of hugs and embraces from Maharaj as well. And then, as we know, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he never gave second initiations unless you actually completed the Bhakti Shastri course formally. But then all the Columbus devotees, Navin Krishna Prabhu, Ram Tirtha Prabhu, they glorified Prem Sindhu a lot. And then Maharaj said that I will give you second initiation. So that was, he heard from all the devotees and he was so affectionate. And so he did. And so this was his, a loving mood. But then came the chastisement. That was in Gita Nagari when Prem Sindhu drove him and went there. And then I didn't go, but I heard this story that Maharaj was trying to teach him how to do Gayatri. And he had told him how to do the counting. And as you all know how Prem Sindhu is, right? He doesn't care for formalities so much. So he was counting as he thinks can be counted, like anyhow you can count. And then Maharaj looks at him and says, where is your mind? What are you thinking? Can't you understand this simple thing, how to do it? But now when we recall there's that kind of chastisement, it just feels so sweet, so wonderful. That what did we do to get such kind of mercy from Maharaj? So, but I never got those kind of chastisements. So once, these are all embarrassing to Prem Sindhu, but I'm just good. These are just so sweet. Once we were giving something to Maharaj and it was, I think, a check. And then Prem Sindhu gave it in his left hand. And then Maharaj said, no, give it your right hand. So many instructions that we got from Maharaj. Also in that home program at Ram Tirtha Prabhu's home, I remember Maharaj was upstairs and we had started the kirtan and Prem Sindhu was singing. And then Maharaj comes down the stairs and he stops. And then after Prem Sindhu is done with his singing, then he opens his eyes and then Maharaj says, I didn't know that you sing so well. He was very happy. He was really, really happy with that. And then in New Vrindavan, a few years later, we went to meet Maharaj. And then Prem Sindhu said, Maharaj, what time can we come and meet you? So the Maharaj gave him a time. I forget what time it was. And then when everybody heard, there were a lot of Columbus devotees at that time. It was, I think, 24-hour kirtan, probably. Yeah. So then everybody said, so, gradually, I think the group got really big. So by the time we reached Maharaj's lodge, it was like 25 devotees. And even today we get calls, we don't remember who those devotees were, but we get calls and they said, yeah, we were in that group. And Maharaj looks at us and he said, I thought you were just coming to meet me. I didn't know you were bringing entire Columbus. But he was very happy. And I think somebody may be able to share something from that meeting. I don't remember much. And the last time that we actually personally met Bhakti Charu Swami was in New Vrindavan, November, Kartik, 2019. I'm so glad we made that trip. Maharaj was there and we got to meet with him. And again, one example, it's very insignificant, it's very small, but it's so instructive. That is how Maharaj was. That we took a prospectus for him, one of our new temple prospectus. Already previously, he knew about the temple. One of his statements is also there in our prospectus. So we took it for him. And, if somebody gave something like that to me, I would immediately think, oh yeah, thank you so much. But not Maharaj. Maharaj said, can I take this? That's what Maharaj said. Can I take this? And we were like, oh yes, Maharaj, this is for you. So that's just like a perfect gentleman. I did again see him in Mayapur when I went for the ILS in February, but I didn't get to have personal discussion with him. I saw him, I attended his class. But Maharaj called Prem Sindhu on the phone in March. You didn't talk about it. And he talked to him. He asked some service for Ujjain temple to find out something. So that was the last talk that Prem Sindhu had. His like he said, like Prem Sindhu said, he was always he worked so hard to tell everybody that put Srila Prabhupada in the center of your life. We are in Srila Prabhupada's family. Don't make any separate groups. We are all serving Srila Prabhupada. We are all in this family together. And he really emphasized that ours is a Shiksha line. We should take Shiksha from all elevated devotees. He used to be very happy when we talked about that we were hearing, or taking Shiksha from other senior devotees. He really used to like that. He was a person with complete non-envy. Recently, I was hearing this class by Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, and he was making that point that here was a person that I saw who had absolutely no envy. So that was also, so he always talked about, as Malti Prabhu was saying, that he made us promise that we would never leave ISKCON. He used to make every devotee promise that. That was genuine quality. He always asked us to abide by the GBC. You can see that even when he departed, he said, I put my hands in the life of GBC and the devotees. That was his nature. That was, he showed by example. He just didn't speak that. So recently I was reading this, I have read his Ocean of Mercy book, beautiful book, couldn't put it down. And then Vrindavan Prabhu from New Vrindavan, he actually got one of the copies signed for us. And I was looking at that copy yesterday, Maharaj's personal signature, but this is how he wrote the signature. He wrote, Dear Leela Manjari and Prema Sindhu, with the blessings of Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Charu, that was him. Prabhupada was everything for him. So I am very, very thankful, as I was hearing Vaisheshika Prabhu and other senior devotees, that also, and Giriraj Maharaj saying that, also think about, how we could have had no association with him, but we should be thankful of all these years of association that we had with Maharaj, with such an exalted personality. And we should really be very, very thankful. I mean, I think that I am nothing. I mean, how could I get association of such an exalted personality? So I really am very thankful to Krishna. And, like when Maharaj left, he also left in style. He left on the day of Vyasa Purnima, Guru Purnima, which was Vyasadev's appearance day. Also the disappearance day of Sanatan Goswami. I mean, there can be no doubt as to where Maharaj went. He's with his dear Srila Prabhupada. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to say, and Prem Sindhu just reminded me, I kind of forgot, was that this was his nature. His kirtans, as we know, but I mean, it's just brought so many people to Krishna consciousness, so empowering. And even when he was sick, as you can see, he was on the ventilator, he was in the hospital. So many devotees, so many people from around the world, people outside of ISKCON, they were all chanting, singing, doing abhishekas. I mean, the whole world was on such a wonderful place. Sometimes I think, like, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in, with, of course, that's a Supreme Lord, but I kind of just remind that when Maharaj was leaving this planet, he was making everybody chant the holy names of the Lord. So that was amazing. So his whole life from the, till he left this planet was just exemplary. So I consider myself very fortunate to be a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And I hope someday I can, better myself as a devotee, listen to all his instructions, and serve him and Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON, and never leave ISKCON. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Leela Manjari Mataji. Now we're going to open the floor for everybody. So those who have association with the Maharaj, or those who wanted to say something as a gratitude. So I would like to say, because Maharaj came to Columbus 2 times. First time he did not stay. Second time he stayed at the time Ramdev Prabhu's house for 3 to 4 days. They had a little bit more association. So I was told they should go next. After that, anybody who wants to say something, there is no order. So please raise your hand. We'll go in a sequence. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami ki namine. Namaste Saraswati Deva Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachati Desha Dharane. I did not have a lot of personal association with Maharaj. However, because of our good fortune and Krishna's mercy and mercy of Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Leela Manjari Mataji, we got an opportunity to serve Maharaj personally when Maharaj came to Columbus in 2013. Yeah, if I remember right, it was 2013. Maharaj, along with his few disciples, he came and we got opportunity to serve him. He stayed with us. It was it was really ecstatic experience that we had those 4 days. It was like a festival. Maharaj was there and his disciples were there. And also, it was like a dream come true for us. We were not qualified. We don't deserve it. But somehow Maharaj, decided to stay at our place. And some of the experiences Leela Manjari Mataji already mentioned, during those 4 days. One thing, I'm little shy going in front of, sannyasis or swamis, and also a little scared. That's why I usually don't go in front of them, not that frequently. But it was quite different with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He was like a very loving, affectionate father. I did not have any hesitation. I was not shy at all going in front of Maharaj and, talking to him, getting his association. And it was because of his greatness, and he's very, very down to earth. He's very friendly with everyone. Whoever comes across with, Maharaj is very, very friendly and very personal. He used to come down from upstairs to the first floor, and where all the devotees are gathering, and he used to sit with us and ask if everybody took prasad. Personally he used to ask, did you take prasad? And he used to serve also. He used to come to that level where he gave the comfort to every one of us. That way we could freely serve Maharaj. And during those 4 days, I could see how Maharaj was so affectionate and loving, to his disciples. How he was dealing with the disciples. And when we are asking question, any question, doesn't matter, he was so patient and tolerant answering all those questions. And also, as the Leela Manjari Mataji was telling, Maharaj, Maharaj loved to serve everyone in the prasadam. And also he cooked the last day before leaving Columbus. So he cooked for all of us. He made Chinese noodles, and also he showed us how to make. So we had the video also, it is in another laptop, so that's why I could not show it. But yeah, it was very memorable experience that we had. Probably we would never get that experience, we would never get that opportunity to serve any Maharaj like that in our lifetime. So we are very grateful for that. And recently I have been, after that association, I listened to many of Maharaj lectures on YouTube. And recently, I heard, I watched many videos and I heard memories of Bhaktichari Maharaj by many disciples and his god brothers. We could see all the qualities that Maharaj exhibited. So recently we were reading Srimad Bhagavatam, where we came across these 26 qualities of a pure devotee. That is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When I look back and when I had that experience with Maharaj, I could see that all these 26 qualities were completely exhibited by Bhaktichari Maharaj. And of course he has a beautiful bhajans and kirtans. We could never forget those. He's very poetic, very kind, compassionate with everyone, right? And his personal dealings was very exemplary. And Maharaj, those just for those 4 days, I could see that we could learn so many things from Maharaj. How he exemplified how a disciple should be, by he showed us how to be a perfect disciple, perfect devotee, perfect gentleman, by his Vaishnava etiquettes and qualities. So we are very grateful to Maharaj and Krishna that he gave his association to us, even though we are unqualified and we don't deserve it. So I will cherish those moments forever, rest of my life. And also, I'm very grateful to Maharaj for giving such a wonderful disciples like Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Leela Manjari Mataji. So I'm grateful for that also. And I hope and pray that I imbibe at least 1% of Maharaj qualities in my lifetime. With that, I would like to end my offering. Vaishnava Thakur, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Because Sundar Mataji, you want to say something?
Yes, Prabhuji, as Ramtita Prabhu mentioned, we are very fortunate and we could never imagine that we will get that opportunity to serve him just because of his mercy and Leela Manjari Mataji and Prem Sindhu Prabhu's unconditional love towards us. We got that opportunity. Otherwise, we would have never got that opportunity. Those 4 days, as everybody said, were the best days in my life. I can never forget. Just because of those 4 days association, I'm still not able to believe that Maharaj left this planet. It was so hard for me to digest that he's not there anymore. Like everything was like fresh in my memory those 4 days. So I don't know what to talk about him. So it was very hard for me to accept the truth that he's not there anymore. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. We have Lalita Mataji in the call, Prem Vilas Prabhu. I don't see them.
They just went home, Prabhuji.
Okay. So anybody else want to say something? Want to move? Who wants to go next? Please raise your hand.
Yeah, Prabhu, I think Kalandi Mataji raised her hand.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kalandi Mataji. Unmute yourself and then please say. We cannot hear. You have to come close.
My Prabhu is not there, unfortunately, because his work he coming now. He's on the way. He told 2 things. The way Maharaj left, he showed us that Prabhupada mission is the most important for him. And second thing, he don't scare of death for that. And yesterday I'm hearing His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj glorifications about His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj mentioning that when he went Mayapur, he told Maharaj know his Bhakti Charu Maharaj is senior than everything from him. He just 5 years he took this sannyas. So there is one Maharaj, one Babaji, who have a powerful Nashima mantra, a Nashima mantra who can save us from death. Then His Holiness Imdadimna Maharaj told, Maharaj, you go first, you take it. And His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj tell, no, you first. He's smiling and told. And Imdadimna Maharaj accepted. And Maharaj told 3 times cancer came to me. 3 times doctor told, I'm not going to survive. And I chant that mantra. And for that, I am now here. I wish Maharaj take that mantra. Then Maharaj will be here with us today. He sacrificed for him, for me. And regarding, I know so many virus going on, so many people, devotee getting, but they getting better. It's unbelievable. Suddenly Maharaj departure. Suddenly, I cannot take it. I cannot take it. It's so painful. Maharaj, everything is very gentle. His kirtan, his class, when I was unmarried, I'm in Mayapur. When I hear Maharaj class, so it's morning class when Maharaj there, and then I want to give something. I have nothing in my hand, but I have a Sakshi Mala from Nashingadev. I will run to Maharaj. I give to him. Maharaj, this is the Sakshi Mala, Asashaki Mala from Nashimadev. He smiled to me. He accepted. As if I didn't look to him, I'm smiling down because I was a little shy. Maharaj keep smiling and looking to me until I look to him. And any Maharaj come, I like to cook. I want to cook for him. But when I'm reading and I'm hearing, he is so best cook. Who I am to cook for him, He's the cooking recipe, the way he cooked for Prabhupada is like very high standard, very high standard. And we're missing Maharaj, and it's so painful. I cry for some time, but my Prabhu told all Prabhupada disciples getting go. After some time, everybody will go. Only their instruction will be with us. And Maharaj's instruction, the ocean of mercy, his kirtan, his books, and by reading that, I pacify. Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you. Anyway, Maharaj give us gift. Niramanjani Mataji, Prema Sindhu Prabhu, they are so helpful, so nice. Our elder brother, elder sister, always helping. Thank you, Maharaj, to give us such a nice devotee. Thank you for everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kalin Mataji. Thank you. Who wants to go next? Please raise your hand.
Sukadev Prabhu has raised his hand.
Yeah, go ahead, Sukadev.
Hare Krishna, all the devotees. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Navin Krishna Prabhu and Yadu Chandra Prabhu. As I'm reflecting on His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, a few thoughts came to my mind. My interaction with him was very little. Basically, it was around the time when Prem Sindhu Prabhu drove him to Columbus. Prem Sindhu Prabhu gave a very detailed explanation of the journey. So that was the only time I had the chance to meet Maharaj. And thanks to Prem Sindhu Prabhu, I also had a personal one-on-one with him when he was staying at Ramtirtha Prabhu's house. Few things I wanted to mention is during that class that he gave, where Prem Sindhu Prabhu was, he got a ticket and he somehow ensured that he reached Columbus, and he gave a class right there at the temple. And one thing was, there was a topic during the Q&A, I think there was a discussion around shaven head. And I remember Prem Sindhu Prabhu asking the question that it's okay to shave head, but we are all professionals, we have to go to work. And if he just shaved head, I don't know how it'll appear. And Maharaj said, why not? It looks good. In fact, the front desk person in the hotel where I was staying in Cleveland had shaven his head, and he was an American, and he was totally okay. And he went on to say, actually, from tomorrow, Prem Sindhu Prabhu, you should shave your head. So he said that, and everybody burst into laughter. So I just shows the mood which Maharaj has, very friendly, and he was a very humorous person. And the other one is basically on the reflection from others that I've been hearing. One thing Prem Sindhu Prabhu mentioned, how he paid attention to details. Actually, there was this, I think she's from Russia, a Russian devotee who was reflecting on that. And he's one fine day, Maharaj, while after having lunch, he asked this devotee, do you want to watch Patriot? Patriot is a famous American movie, as many of you might know. And this devotee was a little taken aback because she didn't expect Maharaj to talk about a English movie to watch. But actually what Maharaj wanted to do was to understand how that movie was made, because it was one of those grandiose movies at that time. And he wanted to understand some of the nuances in making that movie so that he can utilize that for the Abhay Charan movie. So that also goes to say how he would utilize anything possible, even if it is from this material world, for a higher purpose. Then the third one is, obviously, I heard even Mother Malati Prabhu speak about the Brooklyn temple, how he took over. At that time, I knew that something like this was happening, but I never knew Maharaj was orchestrating it personally. So now I can imagine his ability in his leadership and how he can take some tough actions if needed. And the other important thing I want to mention is bhajans and his lectures. Again, only one time I had that personal experience, although I watched him on videos. But he does have an excellent kirtanier's voice, and it is so soulful. And anybody who hears him sing bhajans or kirtans, there's not a chance that they wouldn't appreciate the Krishna consciousness experience. And finally, I want to say, I want to thank Maharaj for giving us Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Leela Manjari Mataji. We all know their capabilities and how dedicated they are. It is said that you judge a tree by the fruit it bears. And so we have a example in front of us. And so I want to thank Maharaj with all my heart. It is so heartbreaking to know that such a person is no more with us. And I hope, as Ram Tirtha Prabhu said, I can take a percentage of his characteristics and use that further to increase my Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Naveen Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. The next is Darpan Prabhu, followed by Alek, and also Parishit wants to say something. Go ahead, Darpan Prabhu. Hari Prabhu, you're speaking, but you're on mute.
Hare Krishna. Darpan Prabhu kind of forced me to say something. So let me first say the pranams. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Devi Shesha Shanyavadi Vasitya Desadarine. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So yeah, I had a couple dealings with Maharaj. Most that I can remember is at New Vrindavan. I was telling Leela Manjari Mataji and Prem Sindhu Prabhu about this. So they really like these pastimes, and they told me to share these pastimes. So I will do as they say. I lovingly call Leela Manjari. I first like to thank Maharaj for giving us Leela Manjari and Prem Sindhu Prabhu. I lovingly call them my book distribution mother and father. So they encourage me in also book distribution and everything. So, and every time I go, they feed me so much prashadam. So when I was in New Vrindavan, I had the good fortune of serving His Holiness Bhakti Marg Swami Maharaj, and this was in Festival Inspiration 2016, I think something like that. So what happened was I was serving Bhakti Marg Maharaj, and then he wanted to have lunch with Bhakti Charu Maharaj and Jay Dvaita Maharaj at, if you know the little gazebos that's in the little island. So they were all having lunch there, and Bhakti Charu Maharaj and Jay Dvaita Maharaj, they had all their they had their like disciples, you know, Gauranga Gunardava and Sabya Sachi. They're all bringing all these little hill bottles and sak and all this, you know. And Bhakti Marg Maharaj, well, they're getting all their specialty lunches, like healthy specialty lunches, you know. And then they're all getting like all prepared, and you know, disciples are getting stressed, you know, and then all that. And I'm just here, you know, I bring Bhakti Marg Maharaj one burger and some fries from the Govindas, and then Bhakti Marg Maharaj is like, you guys can't eat specialty lunches like me anymore. And then Bhakti Charu Maharaj is like, I wish I could eat like you, Maharaj. And it was so nice. And also, I think in that same set of festival inspiration, I don't know how I got caught up into this, that you know, when the kirtan is really going, and this was Guru Puja Kirtan when we were all facing Radha Vrindavan and Chandra. So what happened was, it was a dance circle broke out, and it was me. There were other people, but it was I could remember me, Vaisheshika Prabhu, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and Bhakti Marg Maharaj. And as all of you know, how Bhakti Marg Maharaj is, how he dances. He dances in a very specialty way, and it's very beautiful. And so how he was dancing was that he was going in and out, you know, in and out. And then we were all like trying to follow him, you know. And then finally Maharaj was like, okay, let's change it up. So they were going in. So Bhakti Marg Maharaj was touching Vaisheshika Prabhu's feet and then putting on his head. So I got to, like, you know, just not actually touching, but like just like motioning and putting on his head. And then after that, they kept doing that. And then, so I got to like motion toward Bhakti Charu Maharaj's feet. And then so after that, Bhakti Marg Maharaj, he changes it up again. He's like, okay, touch the feet, lick the tongue. He's like, ah. and then Bhakti Charu Maharaj was like, Haribo. He's like, okay, I've had enough. I've surrendered to Bhakti Marg Maharaj. But these are my few pastimes, you know. He really, when the personal dealings I have with him, he was just a perfect gentleman. I was in New York, not when that famous video of him doing the Kirtan at Radha Govinda and the lights shut off, but I was in New York around that time, and then I just remember all the devotees being so grateful to Maharaj for coming there to this tough city and trying to break up this whole problem that is just a big mess. And then so he came. It was just really so beautiful. And I was also hearing Yadunath Prabhu. I didn't know he was a disciple, but he's a disciple. So Yadunath Prabhu was saying that, you know, I wish I could get Maharaj's, my words could speak his eloquence, and his actions are such a Vaishnav etiquette, you know. I remember somebody saying that he compiled a book or something about Vaishnav etiquette. Now I can just say, if I can just look at the Zoom call, this YouTube video, and I can just look at the qualities that have been mentioned here, and then this is really a Vaishnav etiquette like YouTube video. So I just really pray to Maharaj on this day that he can give me some sort of that I can serve him better, and I can lead a life that is more pleasing to him, and I can distribute books and please Lord Chaitanya in the way that he knows. And I know and then I know that he will offer that to Srila Prabhupada. So His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
What about Darpan? He's not going to do it? Okay, Alek Prabhu.
I'm just using Darpan's phone. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, Alek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vishane Nirvishesha Shunyadi Pashrayati Sataya. I just have few words to say. I am coming from Kolkata, and my parents got introduced to the Krishna conscious movement back in 1999. And when we moved to Kolkata a few years later, my parents made me join a Krishna conscious children's group when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and my brother was 8 years old. So we made new Krishna conscious friends as a result in the Kolkata ISKCON temple, which is very close to our house. So we used to make it up, my parents used to make it a point that we went to this children's class every Sunday. And via the Sunday school or class that we used to go to, we were one day invited to do a drama. And like there was going to be a drama performance, and all the children were to take part in it. So we were told that we have to dress up like gopis, and the boys would dress up as in dhoti and kurta. And I didn't know what this drama was for. I was very small that time. And later, when the day came for doing the drama, our roles were small, but still we came to know that we were actually going to do short movie clip for the Abhay Charan movie series. So we had no idea about it, and that's when I actually met Maharaj. Maharaj gave us the darshan, all the children, and we all were to take part in an aarti where Abhay Charan would come and do puja, and we were just to assist him. So actually, if you see the Abhay Charan series, you'll see baby Shrestha and my baby brother, and it was a great opportunity. And all my friends were there with me. We were all dressed up nicely. The camera showed my brother more than me, so I was a little unhappy. But still, it was a very memorable time, because I remember Maharaj was so kind and so compassionate to all of us. Like he was coming to each of us and trying to find out what we do, where we study, what we study, and how are we doing. And I remember one of my friends was very good in sloka recitation, and so she was saying all the slokas one after the other. So Maharaj was very happy. And then we also, all of us together, said the 7th chapter, all the slokas, we had all learned it. So we all recited all the slokas, and Maharaj was very pleased with it. That was my first encounter as a child. And then I got to see Maharaj so often, because I'm from Kolkata temple, and he used to visit Kolkata temple so often. So I used to hear his classes, his kirtans, and whenever possible, we used to talk to Maharaj. And my very close friends are his disciples. And when I got to know about the news day before yesterday, I could not help keeping my tears. It was just a very, very hard and sad day. And of course, our mentors, Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Leela Mataji, I could feel the pain. Anita Chan Prabhu, my dear friend and brother, it was so hard for them, and I could feel the pain, and the pain is still there. It's going to be there. But the contribution and the legacy has left behind is beyond comparison. So I'm very inspired by his contributions, and I wish to always follow his instructions and preach. And I'm very happy that Hari Prabhu is trying to distribute the Bengali books. When he actually gave those books to me, I actually felt an inspiration that we have to get the books out. Thank you, thank you, Hari Prabhu, for your inspiration too. And Alec will share our personal association with Maharaj that we had just 1.5 years back.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen Krishna Prabhu, for the opportunity to speak about Maharaj. Yeah, first of all, I'm so thankful to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj for giving us these 3 priceless gems in our community: Prem Sindhu Prabhu, Leela Manjari Mataji, and of course Nitai Chand Prabhu, who have been actually, just because of Prem Sindhu Prabhu, I am where I am right now. If not for him, I would not have been even chanting even one round. He inspired me so much. Like, he picked me up from the dirt and is helping me so much in improving and getting close to Krishna through the words of Guru and Gauranga. So thank you, Maharaj, for that. I was fortunate, we were fortunate that we could have personal association of Maharaj 2 times. One was in New Vrindavan, like Leela Manjari Mataji said, in the room where Maharaj was, inspiring us about the new temple. It was so loving. And my parents were there, who are like so new to Krishna consciousness, and he's interacting with my parents, and he's also like encouraging them to chant. So my parents, after they heard the news, they were more emotional than ever. Like, they were feeling the pain. So that's the impression that he has left. The people who are so new, who have no idea what Krishna consciousness is, but he's such a gentleman that he's encouraging so many new people. And about 2.5 years ago, actually, before we got married, we just out of the blue decided to go to D-Land. Shrestha was in Florida and I was visiting her after our engagement, and we had about 10 hours before I catch a flight to Columbus, and we just decided that we will go to D-Land. We had no idea what we will find there. And when we reached, we saw Maharaj is walking around. There is a nice park where they grow flowers, and Maharaj is alone walking there, and he's looking at the beautiful flowers. And we were shocked, because this is this is literally the first time when I'm seeing such a great personality right in front of me. It's like, meeting a famous celebrity. So I was shaking. And Shrestha, she knew Maharaj well before. So she was also so excited. We were feeling so blessed that we had no plans for that day. And Krishna, from within, he just said that, just go and take the darshan of this pure soul. So we could feel that. We could feel that it was not just a coincidence. And we went there, and now Maharaj is right in front of us. He's smiling. He's flying in the D-Land land, and going to lakes, and going to the plants and flowers. And when Maharaj, luckily we had our wedding invitation with ourselves. We had taken few to invite, devotees in Gainesville and Alachua. So we had an invitation card with us, and his assistants were telling that no, you should not, like, we were having a friendly chat with them, and they told that no, sannyasis, they why you are inviting them to the weddings? So but we it's like you get your favorite thing in front of you, and people are saying no, don't take it. And no, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take this to my advantage. And when Maharaj came, when Maharaj came, we were still like fools. We just gave our wedding invitation to Maharaj, despite their assistants telling us not to do so. And Maharaj so compassionately gave us the blessings. He started talking to Shrestha in Bengali, and for some reason I could understand what he was he was saying, and we could just feel his blessings even now, just by meeting 2 times Maharaj. And when he left us, I'm wondering how can it be so painful for someone like me. It's incredible, so it shows that we are all connected in a way thanks to Srila Prabhupada. And again I can see in all his lectures now the dots are connecting. Every lecture that I'm listening of is that he's just sharing what Prabhupada said. He repeatedly brings up Srila Prabhupada, that we are all here to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission. He never, so yeah, I think someone else also said that we should just if we keep Srila Prabhupada's Srila Prabhupada in our life in the center, then we will make spiritual advancement, and that's what Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj preached. And even in D-Land, we had a few students who were visiting, and Maharaj was supposed to give class to them. And the whole class was going so nicely. And one of the students, he had some challenging questions that, why Prabhupada is saying this, why Prabhupada is saying that. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj immediately got, I could tell that he was not comfortable by hearing anything against Srila Prabhupada. How wonderful is that? Like, he was truly surrendered to Srila Prabhupada, and that's what amazes me. And literally, I can second that what Prem Sindhu Prabhu said, that he's making a movie on Srila Prabhupada so that millions of people can watch and get inspired by it. So, like, there is nothing I can say that glorifies him more. So just thank you so much, Maharaj, and please give your blessings to us while we are reading your books and while we are listening your instructions through the lectures, the videos and the audios. And we keep serving the devotees, we keep serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, we keep serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission in every possible way. Thank you again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Alek Prabhu. Now Parishad want to say something.
Hare Krishna. I'm very grateful to Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj for making the Abhay series, and I'd like to sing the Gopi Geet for his pleasure. I'd like to sing a few verses. Jayati tetikam jammana vraja Shayata indira shashvatatrahi Daita drishyatam tekshutabakas Vaideta savas tvam vichinvate Sharadudashaye Sadbhuja Caitanya Sarasijodara Shri Mushadresha Suratanatate Sulkadasika Varadanenata Nehakim Vadam Vishajalapyayat Jalarakshasat Varsamarutat Vaidyutan Vishvato Bhayat Rishabhate Vayam Rakshita Muhu Nakhalu Gopika Nandana Bhavam Akhila Dehinam Antaratmadre Ikhana Satito Vishyivan Sattvatam Kule Virajita Bhayam Vrishni Duryate Charanami Yasham Samsrite Bhayat Karasaroruham Kantakamatam Shirasi Dehina Shrikaragraham Janartiham Virayoshitam Nija Janasmaya Tvam Shanasmita Vajasaka Bhavat Kinkarismano Jalaruhananam Charu Darshaya Pranati Dehina Trenacharan Yugam Sriniketanam Fani Fanarpitam Te Padam Bhujam Krenukuchesuna Krendi Hrechayam Madhuraya Gira Valguvakyaya Buddhamanojasya Puskarekshana Vidikaririma Viramuhyatir Adara Sinduna Pyayayasvana Tavakatamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmasapanam Davanamangalam Srimatatam Bhuvigrinantiye Purita Jana. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Parikshit. Who wants to go next? The 9:30. So yes, Rukmini Mataji, go ahead.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachayane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatya Deshata. Anchakalpaturubhascha Kripasandubhe Vachapatanam Pavanam Prabhaishnabhepam. So thanks to all of you for having this program. I didn't have very much association with Bhakti Charu Maharaj, but I did have a little bit, and I wanted to. Am I being heard? Okay. Yes. So I just wanted to say that, I mean, what I'll say, everyone has said already, is that he was a perfect gentleman, and also, you know, that he sang so beautifully and so forth. But my personal experience was first it was either late 2001 or early 2002. I think it was late 2001. My mother emailed him to ask him for his remembrance of my Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, for the biography that she was writing. And it was very kind of him that he did, in fact, he had some email exchanges with her, and he did write a remembrance that has been printed in that book. And I was just reading it again, and I was just noticing again how eloquent he was. So, of course, everyone knows this from all of his other writing, but that also was a very eloquently written and very gracious dealing. So that was my first experience. Next was in 2014, I was in Laguna Beach on Gita Jayanti, and that was the first time that I had his personal darshan, and he gave the class on Gita Jayanti. And then I went and introduced myself to him and spoke with him. And again, I can say that what everyone else has said, that he's a great gentleman, and he spoke to me very kindly and graciously, not like, he's some great person and who am I? And I just, came out of nowhere, but he spoke to me very kindly and graciously at that time. And then I've, of course, in New Vrindavan several times I've heard his, have heard his wonderful kirtan. Oh, and of course we also heard we saw the Abhay movie, and it's so high quality, and also he got he made very good music for that movie. So both, everything was first class, and particularly that was one thing that was quite noticeable. So I also have that not just his own kirtan, but also the music that he I guess produced, orchestrated. That was also very first class. Everything was first class. And the last time I saw him was thanks to Nitai Chand Prabhu. He had asked me to give Maharaj a message. So in New York Rath Yatra of last year, just a year ago, I went and introduced myself to Maharaj. I mean, I had met him before, but I went out of my way to speak to him. And so this is, he was speaking with Rameshwar Prabhu, and then I spoke, and the people surrounding him were, just sort of, saying that that he didn't have time to speak, but Maharaj himself graciously, took time to hear the message that was sent by Nitai Chand Prabhu, and also, to say, to respond. And so each time, I heard, he was a gentleman. And I also heard one class of his in the Festival of Inspiration in 2016. So that was the same time that Hari Prabhu talked about. And of course, Maharaj's greatest gifts are that we have are these treasures we have here in Columbus, Leela Manjari, Didi, and Prem Sindhu Prabhu, and Nitai Chand Prabhu. And everyone has already spoken, and they're my dear friends, and they're also superpowered dynamos. They're first class devotees, and so one can see as has already been said, one can see the palena parichiyate, that by the fruit one can see the quality of the tree. So similarly, one can see Maharaj by the qualities of his disciples. And so I'm sorry that we're not getting more of his manifest association. So my dear friends had given me his book, Ocean of Mercy, and it was a wonderful book, and I read it very quickly, and my only complaint was that it was too short. So Maharaj, I guess out of his humility, he only spoke about his life as it was up to the time that Srila Prabhupada departed from this world. So I'll pray to Maharaj that he will forgive any offenses that I may have committed knowingly and unknowingly, and keep me in his grace. And my request is that there will be a book or more books about Maharaj's life after Srila Prabhupada departed, his great life of service. And I'll look forward to reading and hearing more. And we've already heard more in the past few days than we heard in several years before that. So hopefully all these things will be compiled, and we can have a wonderful memorial of Maharaj. So thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Next, Ujjwal Nitya wants to say something.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Naveen Krishna Prabhu, for giving me a chance for me to speak about Maharaj. And so, I didn't meet Maharaj so much personally, but when I was a small baby, my father was taking me on his hands and going to temple, and there was Raja Bhakti Mataji was like, "Don't carry him like this, he might fall down." And then there was a Maharaj there, and Maharaj put his hand on my head, and that was just my first time meeting Maharaj. And I want to tell you one story about Maharaj patient from Ocean of Mercy, about Maharaj patience and tolerance. And so one time Prabhupada said that, can you give me orange juice? So then Bhakti Charu Maharaj said, okay, and he went to the kitchen, but there was no orange. So he had to go to the fruit store and get some oranges. And then he came, he started making orange, he heard the bell ringing. Then he started making more quickly. Then he said he heard more bell ringing. Then he started making more quickly. At the time he came and gave it to Prabhupada, Prabhupada was so angry at him. Prabhupada didn't drink it, just like chastising him, and because he came late. And then after some time Prabhupada drink the juice and apologize to Maharaj that I'm getting all of that, I'm getting like shocked up, getting more angry and very mad. And so then Maharaj started crying and said that if you didn't teach me a lesson, then who will teach me a lesson? And he said that if you didn't correct me, then who will correct me? Maharaj was so patient and tolerant. I wish I had some patience or one drop, because if sometimes my parents call me and I just go sad way and run to their room and just sit there and lie down. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very nice. So it's the 9:41. So who wants to go? Maybe you can go for maybe 5-10 more minutes more. So there's a few more devotees left. So if no one wants, I would like to say something.
I can go, Prabhu, for something.
Go ahead, Darpan.
Vansh kalpatarabhushya kripa sindhuya evacha pataitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sitting on an old carpet, Srila Prabhupada, before going to India due to his bad health, spoke to his disciples like this: I may be going, but Guru Maharaj and Bhakti Vinod are here. I have asked them to kindly take care of all of you, my spiritual children. The grandfather always takes care of the children, much better than the father. So do not fear. There is no question of separation. So this is a small part from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita I was recently reading, and it's chapter entitled Swamiji's Departure. So even though I have no close and intimate pastimes with you, Maharaj, being just a speck of dust in the crowd, I could not stop myself from glorifying you. I have shamelessly written some sentences for you. When Lord Gauranga said that I will send a soldier of my army to preach Krishna consciousness, the first thought I got was a soldier is one who goes from this world not at home, that is Vrindavan Dham, Mayapur Dham, etc. But he leaves his body on the battlefield. Since he always has Govinda in his heart, he is never separable from these holy dhams. Just like Srila Prabhupada came to the West because of his causeless mercy, taking these dhams and spiritual master's instruction in his heart, you have shown that you were none other than one soldier of Lord Gauranga's army. Maharaj, I have heard that there is no difference between Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru. I have got a Shiksha Guru here, His Grace Prem Sindhu Das, sent by your causeless mercy. He is taking care of me. Since Srila Prabhupada said that Srila spiritual master is like a spiritual father, it makes you my spiritual grandfather. So Maharaj, I request you to give us strength, because it is very difficult for us to bear this temporary separation from your lotus feet. Please, Maharaj, give us the mood of fighting in the battlefield for Lord Gauranga instead of always thinking of our own spiritual progress, so that we may also become an instrument to your lotus feet. His Grace, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Darpan. Okay, if no one wants to go, I want to go quickly say something. So, His Holiness Bhakti Charis from Maharaj ki Jai. He came to Columbus 2 times. First time he just came and then visited from New Vrindavan based on Malti Prabhu's request. And then the second time when he came and then stayed for a few days. It was a wonderful time. And then I had few interactions with him. So especially when he was at Ramjit Prabhu's house, we were all sitting there and he called us. He said, you want to know how to cut the cauliflower? So it was very funny. So he took a cauliflower and then removed the skin, put in one hand, he put the knife, and then he put the knife like that. He turned the cauliflower in artistic way. And then at the end, one round, everything came off like a, so nice. It just came off like a small flowers. So that's one thing. I use that technique in my cooking classes where I cook for 100 people. So we had to cook a lot of vegetables in short time. So that's one thing. And then, so we have the altar at our home. We all see that this come from the Jen. When he came to our home, we saw that he really appreciated. He was very happy that we got it, and he gave a few ideas, but we couldn't do that because he told us to put some gold plating. That didn't happen. Maybe in the future. And he's also very down to earth. So the way he talked to the senior devotees, he talked to the same to the new person also. So he never show up. He's like in a big guru or is very senior. He's a down to earth. Many devotees said. I also noticed that in my few interactions with him. And then he doesn't beat the bushes, like, come to the point right away. Sometimes devotees also talks like, without, like, politically correct. He's not like that. He just comes to the point, straightforward, honest, up to the point, and direct. I really like that mentality. So I love that attitude of Maharaj. And then and also he doesn't wait for. I was hearing in GBC meetings, devotees are talking. If something needed, and then people look here and there. So who will do, who cannot do, and then let me think about it after that. So he's not like that. If he can do, he'll try to commit. So he's not a calculative. He's not a calculative. Something needed, people will be looking. Let's see if anybody else will do it. Then somebody has $100 needed, and then people are looking. Let's see who will give what. Then I'll see what I can do. No, it's not a. He's pretty straightforward, and then he's unconditional. So that attitude, I really like it. And then of course, whatever he says, some devotees said the promises, even the small. Some devotees said that he makes sure remembers it. He also make it happen. So during the new temple design, we were in the New Vrindavan. Leela Manjari Mataji was there, Prem Singh Prabhu there. We were all there talking. And then, in fact, I also gave the new temple flyer. Maharaj was talking, and then he was asking the details. And then I asked him, Maharaj, can I ask you a question? He said, yes. So some of the members in our temple thinking that the new temple, when you come, so we should get the new deities. And then whoever is asking the question, they did not even complete the sentence. Maharaj was so furious. So furious. No. When somebody get married, when somebody bought home, they remarry again? No. The temple is for Radha Nattabur. When the new temple is done, you carry the Radha Nattabur from current temple to new temple. That is a gift for them. And then somebody was asking, like, should we get the new big deity? I said, no. How can you even ask the question? Divinity of the deities is not based on the size of the deities. There are some temples in South India, ages, they're so small. They manifest the divinity and the purity. It doesn't matter the size. And so same devotee is asking, Maharaj, if it is a big temple with small deities, we cannot see from far. He said, you cannot see the deities with your eyes. If you want to see the deities, you have to go close. You have to be seen by them. That mentality itself is a mundane mentality. And he made it so clear, so profound, what I was in my heart, that he said it out. I was so happy, I'll never forget the conversation. So here are the few things. There are many things, but because of the time, it's already 9:48. So I'm really, really grateful for Maharaj giving 3 wonderful illustrious devotees to Columbus, Prem Sindhu Prabhu and his wife, and then Vidyachan Prabhu. So disciple imbibed some quality of the spiritual master. So Vidyachan Prabhu was so artistic. Whatever he does, the deities, and then so nice he got from that. Leela Manjari Mataji is a wonderful administrator. But she does so meticulously planned, so nice. It come from him. Prem Sindhu Prabhu is like, is a Brahmin, preaching and then reading scriptures. So he got that from Maharaj. So amazing. So I really want to thank him for these wonderful gifts for this community. And I just want to end here. The final things, if anyone wants to say something? Lila Manjari Matas, if no one wants, you want to end, let's just saying final few words, please go ahead. Because we also had a program in the temple, devotees. I want to thank them again.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, I don't know how you knew my heart, because I remembered I forgot to say something. So I just wanted to say that we were talking about Maharaj's Bengali book translation. So, I was trying to get my parents interested. I mean, they were already chanting Hare Krishna and everything, but they were not really reading, Prabhupada's books. And I think when I gave them the Bengali version of the Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, it completely, what I can say, just endeared them. The language, it's so beautiful. My mother is reading the Srimad Bhagavatam every single day. I started reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They had personal association of Maharaj, and Maharaj just endeared them so much. So having said that, I think we did have a wonderful festival. It's bittersweet, missing Maharaj a lot, but we know he's with Srila Prabhupada. So many devotees today cooked. Nitai Chat Prabhu, he made so many offerings. There were so many devotees. Mohini Kishori and Vasanta Mataji were there. So many other devotees. I don't know some names. Mayuri was cooking, for such a long time, cutting vegetables, so many things. Bhakta Rajesh Prabhu was there. If I'm forgetting somebody, I think it's my Kali Yuga brain, and it's probably close to 10 o'clock. So I'm tired. But really, I don't want to miss anybody, but everybody who made this festival success, Premi Harini, so many other devotees who made offerings, Ram Tirtha Prabhu, Chandrabhanu Prabhu, so many devotees made offerings. Other devotees also made, I don't know who made. Juhi was there. So many devotees. So, I just recalling some names right now and some I don't know. But definitely Krishna knows, Maharaj knows, Prabhupada, and all the devotees who also could not come today. I know because of weekday, they were all, praying, seeking Maharaj's blessings. Everybody in every way today was involved in this festival, whether they could come to the temple or not. So we distributed lots of plates of prasadam. That was really amazing. So all I can say is that we are all seeking Maharaj's blessings. We hope we can imbibe his mood and continue to serve Srila Prabhupada and his beloved ISKCON. So we're really grateful to these amazing devotees that we have in ISKCON Columbus, in Columbus area. And Prem Sindhu, if you don't want to say anything, then maybe Naveen Krishna Prabhu, if I forgot something, or Sadbhuja Prabhu, Chandra Prabhu, who did an amazing job coordinating this. So thank you.
Yeah, credit goes to Chandra Prabhu, Sadbhuja Caitanya Prabhu, and Ramesh Prabhu. So they had a plan, wonderful plan. Because Premilas Prabhu was out of town, Ramjit Prabhu was out of town. So they jumped in. So basically they planned everything, called the people, coordinated a short notice. We only found out in one day. So make it happen in a Tuesday. It was a wonderful. Thank you, Chandra Prabhu Chand. Thank you, Sadbhuja Caitanya Prabhu, and thank you, Ramesh Prabhu. Make it happen. Ramjit Prabhu, any final comments?
No, it was really a wonderful festival. I just wanted to thank everyone for expressing their love and affection for Maharaj and sharing the memories. It was very enlightening to know more about Maharaj today. Thank you, Prem Sindhu Prabhu and Lila Manjari Mataji. Thank you for sharing so many memories of Maharaj. So,
thank you.
Chandra Prabhu, want to say something? Final comments?
I feel like I missed a lot of mercy, and I developed love, on Maharaj when I was watching the Abhaycharan series. I did that when we were doing the, early phase of the COVID-19. So every day we used to watch one series every day. And I think the 18th series was missed. And then I was asking Hari Prabhu if you can get it from Prem Sindhu Prabhu, actually. So, but unfortunately, we were able to find out some other YouTube link. I mean, I used to read his quotes, and a lot of quotes like Premchand Prabhu mentioned some examples. Everything resonates very well, and it actually he walked the talk, basically, like following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. So actually, amazing, wonderful spiritual master and leader we have lost in ISKCON, but I'm sure he is definitely in the hands of Srila Prabhupada and having his association. And I would like to thank everybody who joined this evening and sharing their memories and experiences. Special thanks to Premchand Prabhu, Leela Mandir Matadi, and also very, very special thanks to Nitya Prabhu for giving us a wonderful bhajan. It was so, I mean, he was saying no, and then we had to inspire him. So I think, by Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy, so he was able to demonstrate his singing skill. So with that, I think we can end this program. If anyone,
Hare Krishna, one second. That I just came back from the temple. I just wanted to make an announcement that all the prasadam plates were gone, and I think over 200 prasadam plates were distributed. And I think we distributed almost 30 Bengali books that Bhakti Charu Maharaj has translated from Prabhupada's English. So 30 Bengali Gitas are going to go and change people's lives. So Haribol.
Haribol.
So Brajabhakti want to say something. Then after that, Sadbhuja Caitanya Prabhu will end his final comments. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I do not have much interaction with His Holiness Charu Swami Maharaj, but I was hearing a lot of devotees talking about him these days, and I just wanted to share one thing that the conflict resolution that one devotee was sharing. That one time the devotees were in conflict. I think it's in some part of the country, I don't know where. And the devotees were coming and complaining to him, different things, and they're saying different things. So finally they found out one devotee is little adamant in not listening to what it is. And then he called him, he spoke to him. And then he was okay. And then next day morning he came and he started all over again with Maharaj. Again, whatever he spoke was kind of went in vain. And then Maharaj gave an example to the devotee, which actually stuck with me. I heard so many memories, but that one thing stuck with me. It's like when he was in Vrindavan, he was sitting under a tree and chanting. And then one ant was crawling on his dhoti, Maharaj's dhoti. And he flicked the ant with his hand. That ant, by mistake, went and fell on the other ant, and they both started fighting. Both ants started fighting. So Maharaj said, I became the instrument there for their fighting. Maybe it's my karma, I don't know. So, but I have to, even though I have nothing to do with it, but I became the instrument there. So he said, sometimes even though we are not at fault, sometimes we are nothing to do with that conflict, still it is okay to go and say sorry. So just go say sorry and everything will be lost. So that one thing, and another thing is when he came to New Jersey, and disciples, they cooked so many, they said they never cooked less than 50 preparations for him. Every time he comes, they cook 50 or 60 preparations for his lunch. But he tastes everything. It's not like he eats everything, but he tastes every single preparation, little. And one Mataji, she brought something because she couldn't come for lunchtime. She brought it little later. But Maharaj's main meal is only lunch. Doesn't take much in the morning and much in the evening. His main meal, his solid meal is in the lunch. So this devotee who is hosting, he don't know what to do because she brought puri, sabji and something. And this devotee is very confused what to do now. And he don't want to tell Maharaj because if he tells Maharaj, Maharaj says, okay, I don't want her to feel bad, give it to me, I will eat. And then he's worried about Maharaj's stomach condition because he's not used to eat at night. So all the program was over. Maharaj is about to take rest. And then this devotee went to Maharaj's room and said, Maharaj, is there anything else that you needed before you take rest? He asked, where is that packing that Mataji brought? And this devotee got shocked. Which packing, Maharaj? He said, I know that Mataji brought some prasad. Where was that prasad? Go bring that box. So he ran downstairs and he brought that box with puri, sabji and whatever it is. And then he said, open the box. He opened the box, the devotee opened the box, and Maharaj looked at it and he said, sometimes we have to eat with ice. And he said, now close it and take it. So this devotee is like, now I don't need to lie that Maharaj did not eat, but I'm happy that Maharaj did not eat with mouth. So all glories to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj.
Thank you very much. So we will end here. So initially we thought nourishing prayer is too late, but we can still do it fast. Ram, if you want to sing quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Namaste Narasimha.
Together, we'll sing together.
Prahlada Lada Daine Tankana Kala Ito Toya Mitato Narsimha Ahir Narsimha Imamadin Sharanam Prapati Avakara Kamala Varendra Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Bringa Keshava Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsimha Devaya Narsimha Devaya Narsimha Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki Jai Prahlad Maharaj ki Jai Jai Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai
Jai.
Panchakalpatarvyasya kripasindhurvyo
Pranam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you, Yadichandra Prabhu, Ramesh Prabhu, Sadbhuja Caitanya Prabhu. Thank you so much for coordinating this.
Thank you.
With all messages. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.